If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I do.
Anna?
Chris, who is she? The wife you told everyone died in a plane crash.
Anna, I can explain.
Save your explanation for the police.
You just watched the moment a woman walked into her husband's second wedding and shattered the biggest lie he had ever told. But how did a loving wife end up standing in front of the man who had already declared her dead? And how did her husband, a struggling taxi driver, become the man who betrayed the woman who built his entire life? To understand what happened, we have to go back to the very beginning. But before we jump into today's story, welcome back. And if you're new here, you're in the right place. Here on Afri-Reel Studios, we share powerful African stories filled with family drama, betrayal, emotional twists, and life lessons that stay with you long after the story ends. So take a second to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Now, get comfortable and let's begin. Before that wedding day arrived, this is where the story truly began. The truth was, long before Chris became the man people admired, he was simply a struggling young man with nothing but dreams. Chris wasn't born into wealth. He was a struggling taxi driver who borrowed a car every morning, spent long hours navigating the chaotic streets of Lagos, and returned home each night with just enough to survive. He barely earned enough to feed himself. Most women overlooked him, believing he had nothing to offer. Chris came to Anna's boutique with a torn suit a friend had borrowed him for a job interview. He couldn't even afford a new one. Anna noticed how embarrassed he was and offered to repair it for free. Chris was touched by her kindness, and he kept finding reasons to return to the shop. Friendship blossomed into love. Anna was different. She didn't fall in love with Chris because of his pocket. She fell in love with the kindness she believed she saw in him. She believed that with enough love, patience, and support, he would become the husband every woman prayed for. She chose him when she could have chosen men who are richer, more successful, and more established. At the time, Anna's fashion business was already becoming one of the most talked about in Lagos. She wasn't just an ordinary seamstress. She designed breathtaking wedding gowns, elegant suits, traditional attires, and luxury dresses that made people travel across cities just to become her clients. Brides booked appointments months in advance, event planners recommended her without hesitation, and wealthy customers proudly wore outfits carrying her signature touch. Her shop wasn't just a tailoring business, it was a fashion empire in the making. Apart from sewing, Anna sold high-quality fabrics imported from different countries. Every day, customers walked into her showroom with smiles and left even happier. Money flowed steadily into her business, but despite her growing success, she remained humble. When Chris proposed, there was one problem. He couldn't afford a wedding. Instead of embarrassing him, Anna smiled and held his hands. "Don't worry about the expenses," she told him gently. "We'll build our future together." True to her word, Anna paid for almost everything. She rented the reception hall, bought her own wedding gown materials, supervised the decorations, handled the catering, and even covered Chris's suit and the transportation for his family. Everyone praised Chris for marrying such a wonderful woman. They called him lucky. Little did they know. He knew exactly how lucky he was. After the wedding, Anna worked harder than ever. She woke up before sunrise and often returned home long after dark. While other business owners complained about the economy, Anna kept attracting more customers because her designs spoke for themselves. Meanwhile, Chris did almost nothing. Whenever Anna asked about finding a stable job, he always had another excuse. "The interviews aren't going well. I'm still waiting for a call. Something better will come soon." Anna believed every word. She never complained. Instead, she encouraged him. Whenever she closed a big business deal, she celebrated with Chris first. Whenever she made profits, she transferred money into his account without him asking. To Anna, marriage meant carrying each other's burdens. To Chris, marriage meant enjoying the rewards of someone else's hard work. Unknown to Anna, money kept disappearing from her business accounts. Sometimes it was small amounts. Other times it was enough to make any business owner panic. Whenever Anna noticed the missing money, Chris always had an explanation. I used it to pay one of the electricity bills. I settled the landlord. The generator needed repairs. Without questioning him, Anna simply nodded. Trust had blinded her. What she didn't know was that every naira Chris secretly withdrew was finding its way into the hands of another woman. Her name was Habila, young, beautiful, always dressed in expensive clothes, known around Lagos for loving luxury, attention, and soft living. Whenever Chris visited her, he never looked like an unemployed man. He bought her designer handbags, expensive perfumes, jewelry, fancy dinners, weekend getaways. Every gift Habila proudly showed off had been paid for by the woman waiting faithfully for Chris at home. Sometimes Chris stayed on the balcony for hours whispering into his phone late at night. Anna noticed. Once she even walked towards him. The moment Chris saw her, he quickly ended the call. "Who was that?" Anna asked with a smile. "Just a friend," Chris replied without looking into her eyes. Anna laughed softly. "Tell your friend I said hello." She kissed him on the cheek and returned inside. She never imagined the woman on the other end of that call was the same woman slowly destroying her marriage. Weeks later, Anna received the biggest opportunity of her entire career. A wealthy bride from Australia had seen photos of Anna's designs online through one of her previous clients. She wanted no one else to make her wedding gown. The offer was worth millions of naira. Her flights, accommodation, meals, transportation, and every other expense would be fully covered. All Anna had to do was travel to Australia for 1 month to take measurements, supervise fittings, and complete the dress. Overwhelmed with joy, Anna rushed home with the good news. Chris listened carefully. A smile slowly spread across his face. "1 month?" he asked excitedly. "Yes, just 1 month, then I'll be back. This contract could change our lives forever." Chris stood up and hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you," he said. Anna smiled against his chest, completely unaware that the man embracing her wasn't celebrating her success, he was celebrating her absence.
The following morning arrived sooner than Anna expected. Chris personally helped her pack her suitcases, carefully folding her clothes as though he were the most loving husband in the world. "Don't worry about anything back home," he said with a reassuring smile. "Focus on your work. I'll take good care of everything." Anna smiled warmly. "I know you will." Before leaving for the airport, she walked through her fashion showroom one last time. The expensive imported fabrics were neatly arranged on the shelves. Bridal gowns waiting for collection hung inside glass wardrobes, and the latest industrial sewing machines stood silently, waiting for her return. She locked the showroom, unaware that her greatest loss wouldn't come from thieves breaking into her business. It would come from the man holding her hand. At the airport, Chris kissed her forehead. "Call me as soon as you land." "I promise," Anna replied. A few minutes later, Anna disappeared into the departure terminal. Chris stood there until her plane took off. The moment it disappeared into the clouds, the smile on his face slowly changed. He looked at his phone and dialed a number. "It worked," he said with a grin. "She's gone." On the other end of the line, Habila laughed. "So, when do I move in?" Chris looked toward the sky one last time before walking to the parking lot. Today. By evening, Habila was standing inside Anna's beautiful home with a suitcase in one hand and a satisfied smile on her face. "So this is where you've been living all this time?" she asked, looking around the luxurious living room. Chris wrapped an arm around her waist. "Our home now." Habila giggled as she walked through the house, admiring everything. "The woman has good taste," she said, running her fingers across one of Anna's expensive furniture pieces. Chris laughed. She paid for everything. Neither of them felt the slightest guilt. That same night, they celebrated with an expensive dinner paid for using Anna's money. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away in Australia, Anna was living the dream she had worked so hard for.
The bride welcomed her warmly, introduced her to the wedding planners, and praised her designs to everyone. Within days, Anna's calendar became completely full. Measurements, fabric selections, design meetings, late-night adjustments, wedding rehearsals. She barely had time to sleep. Still, every night before going to bed, she called Chris. "Have you eaten?" "Yes." "Is everything okay at home?" "Everything is perfect." "I miss you." "I miss you too." The words came easily from Chris's mouth. They meant nothing. Whenever Chris claimed he needed money, Anna transferred it immediately. The generator broke down. She sent the money. "I need to repair something in the house." She sent the money. "I had an emergency." She sent even more. Each alert that entered Chris's account quickly disappeared into shopping malls, restaurants, luxury hotels, and expensive gifts for Habila. To Habila, Chris looked like a rich and generous man. She never asked where the money came from. She simply enjoyed spending it. A few weeks later, Chris finally revealed his biggest plan. One evening, while they sat together in the living room, he looked at Habila and smiled. "I don't want you to be my girlfriend anymore." Her eyebrows raised. "What do you mean?" He reached for her hand. "I want you to become my wife." Her eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "I've never been more serious." She threw her arms around him excitedly. "Yes, of course I'll marry you." Chris smiled. "There is just one thing." "What?" He lowered his voice. "People know I'm married." Habila frowned. "So what are we going to do?" Chris leaned back confidently. "Leave that to me." The following week, rumors spread across Lagos like wildfire. People whispered that Anna had died in a tragic plane crash while returning from Australia. Chris wore a sorrowful face wherever he went. He accepted condolences. He pretended to cry. He allowed people to comfort him. Some even praised him for being strong. No one knew it was all an act. Soon after, Chris announced that, despite his painful loss, life had to move on. He and Habila would be getting married. The news shocked many people. Some thought it was too soon. Others simply wished him happiness. But one person refused to believe the story. Gladys, Anna's closest friend. Something didn't feel right. She called Anna's phone once. No answer. Twice. Still nothing. Again and again. Nothing. Every missed call made her more anxious. If only Anna would answer, she whispered. Back in Australia, Anna's phone remained buried inside her handbag while she worked tirelessly on the most important wedding gown of her career. She had no idea. Back home, another wedding was already being planned. One that should never have happened.
3 weeks had passed. Anna was only a few days away from completing the wedding gown that had brought her all the way to Australia. The bride loved every fitting, and the planners couldn't stop praising her craftsmanship. For the first time in weeks, Anna finally had a quiet evening to herself. She returned to her hotel room, placed her phone on the bedside table, and let out a long sigh. Finally, I can rest. As she reached for her phone, dozens of missed calls flooded the screen. Every single one was from Gladys. Anna frowned. Why would Gladys call me this many times? Without wasting another second, she called her back. The phone rang only once before Gladys answered. "Anna!" Gladys cried. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for weeks." "I'm so sorry. I've been working almost every hour. Is everything okay?" There was silence. Then Gladys spoke in a trembling voice. "No, everything is not okay." Anna immediately sat upright. "What happened?" "I don't know how to tell you this." "Gladys, you're scaring me." Gladys took a deep breath. "Chris has another woman living in your house." "That's impossible." "I wish it was." "No, Chris would never do that." "He did." Anna's smile disappeared. "I've seen them together. He spends every night with her. Her name is Habila.
And Anna, Gladys hesitated. They are getting married. The words struck Anna like lightning. For several seconds, she couldn't breathe. What did you just say? They've already printed invitation cards. Anna slowly shook her head. No. He told everyone you died in a plane crash. The phone slipped from Anna's hand and landed on the hotel carpet. Her entire body trembled. She stared blankly at the wall, unable to process what she had just heard. The man she had sacrificed everything for had already buried her while she was still alive. After several moments, Anna picked up the phone again. I need proof. You already have it, Gladys replied quietly. Anna frowned. What do you mean? Gladys lowered her voice. The security cameras. Anna's eyes widened. The cameras. She had completely forgotten about them. When she expanded her fashion business months earlier, she installed a modern security system throughout the house, not because she suspected Chris, but to protect her imported fabrics, expensive sewing machines, and valuable wedding gowns. The cameras had been recording every day. Her heart pounded as she logged into the security app. The first recording appeared. Chris opened the front door. Habila walked inside carrying 2 large suitcases. Anna's hands began to shake. She pressed another recording. Chris hugged Habila in the living room. Then he kissed her. Anna froze. Tears filled her eyes, but she kept watching. Another clip. Habila was wearing Anna's silk robe. Another. She was sleeping in Anna's bedroom. Another. They laughed while drinking wine on the balcony where Chris once whispered, I love you forever. Then came the recording that shattered what remained of Anna's heart. Chris looked at Habila and smiled. By next week, everyone will believe Anna died in a plane crash. Habila laughed. And after the wedding, we'll sell this house, empty every account she owns, and disappear before she comes back. The two of them clinked their wine glasses together. Anna began to cry. She wasn't crying because Chris loved another woman. She was crying because she had spent years building a life with someone who had been planning to destroy everything she worked for. Gladys remained on the phone. Anna. After a long silence, Anna wiped away her tears. When she spoke again, her voice was calm. No. Gladys frowned. What do you mean? I'm done crying. So what are you going to do? Anna looked at the wedding invitation Gladys had sent to her phone. Chris and Habila, Saturday, 11 a.m., Lagos. A slow smile appeared on Anna's face. They think I'm dead. Yes, then let's keep it that way. Gladys was confused. What are you planning? Anna closed her laptop. I'm coming home. But nobody, not Chris, not Habila, not a single guest must know I've landed. Gladys smiled for the first time in weeks. I understand. Anna looked out of her hotel window at the city lights of Australia. Tell no one. I won't. And Gladys, yes, on their wedding day, Anna's eyes hardened. I'm going to give them a surprise they'll never forget. Saturday morning finally arrived. The wedding hall was beautifully decorated with white roses and golden ribbons. Soft music filled the air as guests took their seats, smiling and chatting. At the front stood Chris, dressed in an expensive white tuxedo, one Anna had unknowingly paid for. Beside him was Habila, glowing in her wedding gown, believing she was only moments away from becoming Mrs. Chris. Neither of them knew. The woman they had buried with lies had already returned to Nigeria. Hidden in a black SUV parked outside the venue, Anna took one final look at the tablet in her hands. Every CCTV recording had been copied. Bank transfer records, receipts, account statements, screenshots of conversations Gladys had gathered, and documents proving Chris had tried to sell her house without her permission were neatly arranged in a folder. Gladys looked at her. Are you ready? Anna inhaled deeply. I've been ready since the day he decided my love was something to steal. The church service began. The priest smiled at the couple. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Chris and Habila. The guests applauded. The priest continued, if anyone knows any lawful reason why these two should not be joined together in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The hall became silent. Then, a calm female voice echoed from the entrance. I do. Every head turned. The massive doors slowly opened. Anna walked in. She wore a simple but elegant white dress, her head held high, her expression calm. For a moment, nobody spoke. A woman in the crowd gasped, Anna? Another guest stood up, but Chris said she died. Chris's face lost every trace of color. His lips trembled. No. Habila looked from Chris to Anna in confusion. Chris, who is she? Anna stopped a few steps from the altar. She looked directly into Chris's eyes. Tell her. Chris couldn't speak. I said I tell your bride who I am. The hall was silent enough to hear a pin drop. Finally, Chris whispered, She's my wife. The room exploded with murmurs. What? He already has a wife? He lied to all of us. Habila stepped backward. You told me she died in a plane crash. Anna looked at Habila. He lied to you too. Habila slowly turned toward Chris. Is that true? Chris stammered. I can explain. Anna shook her head. No. Let the evidence explain. She nodded toward the entrance. 2 officers walked into the hall, followed by Gladys carrying a projector and a laptop. The projector lit up the large screen behind the altar. The first video played. Chris opening the front door for Habila. The second, Chris kissing Habila in Anna's living room. The third, the 2 of them drinking wine while laughing. Then came the recording that froze the entire room. Chris's voice echoed through the speakers. Everyone will believe Anna died in a plane crash. After the wedding, we'll sell the house, empty every account she owns, and disappear before she returns. The video ended. The hall fell completely silent. One elderly guest slowly removed his glasses. I've never seen such wickedness. Another guest shook his head. The woman who built your life, this is how you repaid her? Habila stared at Chris with tears streaming down her face. You told me the house belonged to you. You told me the money was yours. You lied to me. Chris reached for her. Habila, listen. She slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. Chris turned toward Anna. He dropped to his knees. Anna, please, I made a mistake. I was greedy. Please forgive me. Anna looked at the man she once believed she would grow old with. She remembered paying for their wedding, working late nights, skipping meals to build her business, sending him money from Australia without asking questions, trusting him with every part of her heart. A tear rolled down her cheek, not because she still loved him, but because she finally accepted that the man she loved had never truly existed. She wiped the tear away. Chris, you didn't just steal my money. You stole my trust, and that's something you'll never be able to return. She stepped aside. The police officers moved forward. Chris, you're under arrest for theft, fraud, conspiracy, and attempting to unlawfully dispose of property that isn't yours. They handcuffed him. Another officer turned to Habila. Our investigation shows you knowingly participated in spending stolen funds and planning the sale of the property. You're also under arrest pending further investigation. Habila broke down crying as she was led away. The wedding guests watched in stunned silence. The ceremony had ended before the vows were ever exchanged. Later that evening, Anna unlocked the front door of her home. Everything looked familiar, yet nothing felt the same. Gladys quietly followed her inside. Anna walked through the living room, gently touching the furniture she had worked hard to buy. Then she entered her bedroom. For the first time since returning home, she broke down. She sat on the edge of the bed and cried. Not because Chris was gone, but because she had loved someone with her whole heart, while he had only loved what she could provide. Gladys sat beside her and gently held her hand. You didn't fail, Anna. You simply loved the wrong person. After a few minutes, Anna stood up. She looked around the room one last time. Then she wiped away every tear. No more crying. Gladys smiled. What now? Anna looked toward the window where the morning sun was beginning to rise. Now, I build an even bigger future. Months later, Anna's fashion empire had expanded beyond Nigeria. Her designs were now sought after by brides across Africa, Europe, and Australia. Her name became a symbol of excellence, resilience, and hard work. As for Chris, he had nothing left but the memories of the woman whose love he traded for greed. Sometimes, the greatest loss isn't money. It's realizing too late that you destroyed the only person who ever truly believed in you. If you stayed with me all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time. Now I'd really love to hear your opinion. If you were in Anna's shoes, would you have forgiven Chris after everything he did, or would you have walked away and never looked back? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the Afri-Reel Studios family. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications because another powerful African story is already on its way. And trust me, it's one you won't want to miss. But before you go, there's another story waiting for you right on your screen, and I'm sure you'll love it. I'll see you in that next one. Thank you once again for watching. Stay blessed, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next story.